Hello students, today our topic is software design, the theory of the software engineering subject. So we see about the design processes. So what is design? So the design is working for the activity of the converting equipment into a technical solution to the blueprint of the coding starts. The answers to the how the system will be structured, how forms will be interacted, and how data will be flowed. So why it's important? It reduce for the coding mistakes and improve software qualities and improve make system easy to maintain, saves times and costs. So these are major in the design processes. So next is for the stages in the design process. So the first stage is the equipment understanding and apply design concepts and the architectural design, the architectural design and the interface design, the component level design and the design review. So they work for the equipment and connect to the equipment work for the designing processes. The six stage work for the application development process. The real-time example is the online exam system. So requirement is the conducting exam in the online. So the design can decide to the login process and time logic and question navigation, research generation. For example, we are attending for the NPTEL exams and online exam also. They are followed to the same kind of online exam system. So the workflow template design template. So first is for the create give to the proposed idea and initial review of the idea, the completed request. So the request go to the review. The review can work for the portfolio selection. The complete selection give to the plan. The plan to fully work for full business case and it review on the approval of the business case. The approve for the approve or denied selection for the plan. Next move to the manage to manage for the delivered project and the project suspended to the proposed project implementation. So they are the workflow of the design template. So design concepts. So the what are design concepts? Design concepts are basic principles that guide the developers to create good and maintainable software. So good design make to the good software. Example, we day life used to for the online applications also. So next the key design concepts. First abstraction. So the abstraction what the system do. So not how to implement it. It not be stored for the abstraction method. It remove to the unnecessary details. Example ATM. So ATM withdraw cash. So we are used for the user only see the withdraw money and pin number only. So they don't know for the background Windows process. That is called abstraction. So next we see about the modularity. So the modularity is the system divided into the independent modules. Each module performs one function. So example college portal, login module, documents module, reset module. So next we see the information heading. So internet is have hidden only record data is exposed. So example password encryption logic. It return for the user. So if you put on the password in the other social media or websites, it will hide for the user also. So next you see the cohesion. The cohesion is the how closely related function are inside your model. It highly cohesion the good design or example for student module contains only student related operations. So next the coupling. The coupling is the difference between modules. So low coupling is preferred to the example chaining admins module should be not applied to the fees module. So they are same coupling but different modules per process. So the difference between coupling and the cohesion. So coupling a content for the each module content for the each modules. The cohesion is content for the on same of the module content with the same without contents with the this circles. So next is the design model. So what is the model? If we create the design, implemented by the structure, data, or interface components. So we have to call model. So types of design models. First is the architecture model. It can define for the system structure and data model. It go to the data objects and relationships. And interface model. It go to user interface and how to user visualization in the software development model. Next, a component model, it will interact to the internal components of the hardware. So real-time example is the UML class diagram, data flow diagram, sequence diagram. They are representing the basic level of the application models. So the types of software development models in the industry. So first we see the waterfall model, next RAD model, spiral model, wave model, increment model, and agile model. They are the mostly used for the designing process model in the software industries. So next we designing heuristics. So what is designing heuristics? The design heuristics are explicit based rules used to improve software design. Their guidelines are not strictly rules. With common design heuristics, keep design simple, avoid redundancy, design for feature changes, promote the reuse to minimize the complexity. They are using for the single login module for the student portal, the faculty portal, and admin portal. So we see to the basic usability theoretics and the mapping, freedom, visibility, minimalism, error recovery, help, error prevention, flexibility, recognition, consistency, mapping. So they are working for the this kind of methods. So and next we see to the architectural design. The one of the designing process function. So architecture design defined to the overall structure of the system by identifying. First of all, we follow the major components, the responsibilities, and interaction between the components. So objective is the organized system that effectively improve to the scalability and support maintainability. So the real-time example is the college management system, the student module and the faculty module and admin module database there and collaborate to the college management system. The software architecture design factors. First user requirements and the software design and the software quality, business strategy and environment. They are main major rules for working for the software architecture design factors. So next we see to the architecture styles. So what is the layer architecture? The system gets divided into the each layer and each physical responsibility. That is called the layer architecture. So first we see about the UI layer. So UI is the user interface layer. It helps for the user visible screens and the forms buttons. They can use for the user interactive methods. Next is the business logic layer. So it defines to the rules and the logic of the system and the validation calculations. Next we see the data layer. So it works for the database. So it, so it works for the college headquarters. So UA can give to the user enters the roll number. So logic layer is to check the result for the calculator grade. So the data layer works for the fetch the marks from the database. So this is important concept for the UI layer and the business logic layer and data layer. The UI is the user interface. Business is the logic assembly push for the system. The data layer for the database and store and retrieve the data in the data operations. So next we see about the presentation layer and the logic layer and database level. So the business layer is the client, the customer client work for the server. The server can retrieve the database. Example, the rule is the client server. We can search any data from the Google to work for the server. We will retrieve the data from the database. So presentation, logic, data, they are using major root by compared for the server database system. So now what is client server architecture? So the system divided into the two modules, client and server. So client can send the request from the server. It can server receive the request and will retrieve the data from the client. So it is called the client server mechanism. So example, client is the mobile or laptop. Server is the powerful computer in the data center. So the real-time example is the online banking. The client mobile banking app. Server is the bank server. Actions check the balance transfer money. We are only do for this kind of app in the online banking application mobiles. So the examples put down the browser college website server and mobile app the backend server. So the advantage is the centralized control, secure web service. So the architecture client server, so internet can send the request from the server can retrieve the data from the client. It is the main major work for this process. So next MVC architecture. What is MVC? MVC is the model wave control. So the system is divided into three connected components. The MVC explains the simply model wave control. The model is the database. The object are part of the model. Wave is the what users see. So it is called UA screen and the controller give to the middleman. So what kind of data perform to do the data applications. It can the user access also. So example is Instagram and WhatsApp. So first of all, we is the chat stream, control is the send button or logic, command is the message to database. So it's work for the real-time social media applications. Why when this is important? So it is for the user interface and logic are separated. needs to update and UA without changing data to widely using the web frameworks. So that's why we are using for the model view controller. So the diagrammatic representation. So first is user interact with the view. So the view can request the process. The controller can accept the request. In asking the to provide model data, the model can retrieve the data in the database. Certain data from the controller. The controller can give to the render and connect to the view. So user can view the data. Work for the view controller model in the diagrammatic representation. Next we see the pipe and filter architecture. It is one of the architecture in the software development model. So the data is processed by the steps where the each steps can filters and out of become the input to next step. So like the water purification system, so filter one to remove the dust, filter to remove the germs, and filter the clean water. That's why we follow to the software development process also. So example we follow the compiler. It will be used for the lexical analysis, the syntax analysis, and the semantic analysis, and the code generation. So the compiler can have this four kind of operation in the compiler process. Each stage goes through the step-by-step process. So what is the advantage of the pipe and filter architecture? It is easy to modify individual stages, reusable processing to components. So see the example, data force, the data will be due to the task A, task B, task C, task B. The data will be transferred from the business logic model. The transform data go for the task of task E, task B. So the data will be stored by the data from source 2. That is the pipe filter model. So next is the repository architecture. So what is repository architecture? The all system components are share a common central data storage. That is called the repository architecture. Think of the college office file room. So the student section, the faculty section, the admin section, they are divided by the same room but different files. That is called the repository architecture. The right term example the college management system. Student module read the student data only. Faculty module update marks. The admin module manage users. That is called the all same database for the same application. So what's the advantage? Data is consistent and easy to data sharing. So we are using further this kind of style. That is first we see the layered. So layered is used for large application and the client server is network based applications and MVC model control is for the UA heavy applications. Next to pipe and filter, it is used for data processing system. So next we see for the data history, it is using for the data centric system. So they are basic style of the software development models. So the centralized database for the multiple clients used for the same time. That is called a centralized database. So the client one, client two, client three, client four working for the same time models. So next is the architectural mapping using data flow. So what is architectural mapping using data flow? Mapping can converting data flow diagrams. So DFT can use for the data flow diagram of the software development model. So into architecture components. In simplest words, we see to the DFT. So what happened in the architecture? So how is built? So the basic components of the architecture mapping using data flow. So why is needed for that is the DFT is the logical process basically. So it work for the logical model. And the architecture is physical component basically. So they are combining it work for the analysis and designing. So example is the bus ticket reservation DFT. So the data flow diagram for the bus ticket reservation. So first of all, the passenger can go for the inquiry. So the inquiry for the reservation process. The reservation can go to the ticket generation process. So if your ticket is available, it will report to the admin. If payment is confirmed, the ticket is booked. So suppose the ticket is not available, so the lower is down storage, the process is the unable to the completed. So it is called the bus ticket reservation data flow diagram. So next to the steps in the architecture mapping. So first identify all process in the DFT. Next group related process. The convert each group in the model and the component. The define communication between the modules. So example is the library management system. So it's how to work for the process of the search book and the issue book and return book. So they are work for the library management system. So what is mapped database? The search module and issue module and return module, database module. So they are also included in the library management system. So each DFT process become the software component. So next is the user interface UI design. So what is user interface design? The user interface design focus on the how to users interact with the system, the software system. It includes the screens, buttons, menus, and the forms and the messages. They are work for the designing process. So the good design make to the good impact of the application models, and the poor design due to the pure environment of the design model. So the real-time example is the ATM machine. So first of all, we see about the simple menu, the clear instruction, and error message from the wrong pin. They are the good AI user satisfaction model. So what is the principles of the quality in the UI designs? So first we see to the flexibility and the visual hierarchy and the simplicity and the consistency accessible and the feedback. They are the most important for the user design models. So next we see to the interface analysis. So what is interface analysis? It processing understand to the user the needs before the designing UI. So what do we analyze? Who is the user? What does will see perform in the user outputs? So what is input output gets to the user skill level? So they are interface to the all kind of model in the software development model. So real-time example is the e-learning system. So student can attend the class, submit the assignment, faculty can upload the marks and evaluate the marks, admin can manage the users. So each user needs a different interfaces. So same system, different users, the different screens. That is called interface analysis. So this kind of activity is used for the interface validation process. So interface validation, the user task and the environment analysis, the interface design and implementation. So next is the interface design. So what is interface design? The interface can convert to the analytical cells the actual screen layouts. So interface design principles can offer the consistency and the same layout and colors, simplicity, easy to understand, and offer the easy manner in the software development. And the feedback can use for the system respond to the user actions, the error preventations, to avoid mistakes. So next we see to the real-time example of the interface design. So the red color show to the error message for the commonly working the systems. The green flag go to the success message. So are you source for the pop-up before the message? We can give to the initial color advantages for the interface models. So next is the Google Forms. So it will give to the clear labels and the mandatory fields or warning, the confirmations or the submission. So they are work for the interface design model in the software development process. So next is the component level design. So component is the work for the how to function perform in the software model, the how data is processed, how comments are interacted. So they are work for the component model. So why component design is important? It helps to the programmers write a correct code, the reduce bugs and improve reusable quality. So it real-time examples of the login component. So they validate the username, validate the password, authenticate the user, and display error or success message. So they are work for the component level model in the software development mode, design model. So next the component level design. So first of all, equipment gathering and analyzing specification for the equipment. So the artist will design for the equipment. The component level design is a component work for the each component due to the each level of mechanism in the software development process. So next the component level coding, the testing process. So it is due to the component level models. So next is the design class based components. So what are the classes based design components? It work for the basic element of class based design. So the class attributes, methods, function can divide to the multiple components in the basic level design process. So the real-time example is the student class. So student class can have this kind of attributes also roll number, name, department, methods. So the roll number, name, department can be due to the student level of activity. So what is method? The roll number, name can use for the login and view result. Also the result goes also. So each student can due to the use these classes. So each class by design is preferred to the this model. So it is the reusable and easy to maintenance and the flexible. So the what is the aspect of the class based decision models? So the approach is the difference between the object-oriented and procedural. And next is reusability. So the high and low. So next is maintenance, easy and difficult. So they are basic aspect of the components. So next we see to the traditional components. So what are the traditional components? The traditional components based on the procedural programming. It divide to the functions and the procedures. So the functions are divided by the characteristics. So the function plus data and less usable and changes in the apply to many parts. So the real-time exam is the Z program. So input marks and calculate the totals and display the results also. To work the traditional components. So next is see to the this kind of traditional process. First of all, we plan the data modules, we develop and make and deliver return. So that is the major role in the software development data process model. So DFD is the data flow diagram. It works for the architecture through mapping. So the user interface area is the designing focus on the user experience. The common design is the prepare to the each coding. The classical design is due to the modern flexibility. So we end up the session. So why should you student and the admin portal have the same interface? And why is red color commonly used for the error message? So why is MDC architecture prefer the web application? So okay, this kind of question you can read and go through that. So comment your answers in the comment sections. Thank you.